Durham finally released his report finding that the FBI, in his view, should have never launched a full investigation into possible connections between Donald Trump, his campaign, his advisors, and allies, and Russia during the 2016 election. Let's bring in CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez. Evan, this report, it's more than 300 pages long. He spent about 4 years on it. What else did he have to find?
Well, Jake, the bottom line that John Durham finds is that, there was reason for the FBI to at least do some preliminary investigations, some lower level types of investigations. But he repeatedly says that he doesn't believe that the FBI took into account a lot of information that they had in their possession.
That was exculpatory.
That would have been exculpatory. That would have explained some of their suspicions that they had about Donald Trump, about some of the people surrounding his campaign. Of course, we know that there was plenty of suspicion, in part because the former president brought on a person in Paul Manafort as his campaign chairman, who was deeply indebted to a Russian oligarch, somebody who was very close to the Kremlin. That is just one of the many data points that the FBI was following up on in why they did this investigation. And the bottom line, he says, is that the evidence gathered in the multiple exhaustive and costly federal investigations of these matters, including the instant investigation, neither U.S. law enforcement nor the intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. He's saying, look, he spent 4 years looking at this. He investigated a lot of different things. The FBI made a lot of mistakes. I'll read you just a statement right now we just got from FBI Director Chris Wray, who says that they've made a lot of reforms at the FBI, and he says, had these reforms been in place in 2016, the missteps identified in this report could have been prevented. And he notes that a lot of these mistakes happened before Chris Wray became FBI director.
A lot of people who follow law enforcement might not be surprised that in general, sometimes there is an overzealousness and an effort to...
Confirmation bias is what Durham calls it.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Not political bias.
It doesn't only happen with presidential candidates and presidents, though. It happens with,
to the little guys.
To the little guys on the street,
right.
And they don't get 4-year multi-million-dollar investigations to exonerate them. But it's good to have accountability. Evan Perez, thanks so much. Let's bring in Adam Kinzinger, former Republican congressman from Illinois. Let's start with your reaction to the Durham report. On first blush, I mean, there's no criminality that he found, but pretty damning for the FBI.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think you guys hit it on the head when you talked about confirmation bias. I mean, we went into 2016. This is the first presidential candidate, at least in my lifetime, that had expressed sympathy for Vladimir Putin. You had the Paul Manafort issues. Remember at the Republican convention, they pulled out support for Ukraine out of the platform there. So I think a lot of people were looking, going, what's going on here? And including myself, we had some real concerns with, the sympathy that the former president frankly still has for Vladimir Putin. But that shouldn't govern what the FBI does. The FBI should not allow their either bias on that or whatever to come to fruition. And hopefully this report by the independent counsel will change things at the FBI. Hopefully some stuff has already been implemented. We want to make sure, no matter if somebody's on the left, right, or in the center, that everybody, and by the way, this includes the former president on January 6th, everybody is treated equal under the law.
Yeah, I mean, when the text messages came out between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, it was pretty shocking. Not that two people in law enforcement would not like Donald Trump, but that they were part of the investigation. And it seems that their emotions, they weren't able to even control the fact that they were saying very inappropriate things about somebody that they were investigating.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty damning. Again, I mean, we're not asking law enforcement or even DOJ officials to not have a political opinion. You get to vote every couple of years, and, that's your duty as a citizen. It's good that they do. But when it comes to the enforcement of the law, when it comes to whether you should have and again, when you launch an investigation on a presidential campaign, that's not a small feat. That's a big deal. And that has real potential to disrupt politics, as we've seen it really has. I mean, a lot of folks in the Trump camp have been claiming that this has been a witch hunt. I don't think this actually rises to the level of witch hunt, but this today kind of gives them a little credence on that. I think, this report appears to be, I haven't read the 300 pages, but appears to be kind of in the middle ground between it wasn't truly a witch hunt, but also there were some real issues here. So I think each side can kind of take what they want from it. But I hope we take from this, everybody needs to be treated equally under the law, whether you agree with a person's politics or not, because this is America, and it's the only thing that keeps democracy upright and surviving is that knowledge that we all get treated equal.
Yeah, so we should remind people, the Mueller investigation, it outlined a number of contacts and issues between Trump and his allies and Russia that were odd, but did not conclude that there was a conspiracy, a prosecutable conspiracy. But they did note a number of attempts to interfere and obstruct justice.
Yeah, that's right. And